Hi there, Steve Kaufman here. I'm sitting by a window in or near Arcos de la Frontera in Spain. I'm sorry that I didn't provide any summary of my 5 days to fluency in Prague, because on the final day I did a video interview with Yarda right by the Charles Bridge, but somehow I managed to lose that video in my iPhone, so we don't have that video. But I'd like to sort of give you my impressions of how things went. I think it was a great success. I was in Prague essentially for 4 days. I arrived the evening of the first. So I had the second, third, fourth, and fifth, 4 days. And then the morning of the sixth, Saturday morning, I flew to Portugal. I think on average I spoke about 6 or 7 hours of Czech every day. I did this basically because I was able to arrange 2 Czech lessons every day. And then with all of our LingQ members and other people who came to the meetup and people that I knew in the Czech Republic, I was able to get in a lot of speaking. Like the first night we had dinner in a pub, and we were there and I was speaking Czech for about 4 or 5 hours, so plus the 2.5 hours of lessons that I had, that was 6.5 hours. I can't remember now. I had a lunch where I spoke Czech. I was invited. One of the people who came to our meetup was a lawyer in Prague, Michal. He invited me to lunch, so I spoke Czech there. I had dinner with Zdeněk and his girlfriend and Yarda on Thursday night, so we spoke Czech the whole evening there. Let's see, I had dinner with Jan and Gabriela. They invited me to their place, which was lovely. And that was Friday night. And Friday night, I can say that, and Gabriela can confirm this, I was there from 6 until 10, maybe, and the entire conversation was in Czech. And unlike the situation at the pub the first night, where there's conversations flying in 10 different directions and it's hard to hear because of the noise, the evening with Jan and Gabriela, we were conversing. I was comfortable. I missed the odd word, but it was a very pleasant experience. I think my experiment was a success. Because the big thing was that I could understand. I could understand what I saw about me. I could understand if I wanted, as I was able to do on a couple of occasions, strike up impromptu conversations with people. I was able to do so. I understood what they said back to me. And this intensity of exposure and of speaking the language certainly elevated my Czech. Now, and so I will, in conclusion, I would recommend this approach to anyone. I would recommend staying longer than 4 days, which is all I had. I think it's better if you've got 2 weeks or a month. But I would certainly recommend, and this is something that I saw in a video that Professor Argelies made, that in order to take advantage of this immersion experience, you're far better off to have a significant background in the language before you go. And in my view, this sort of passive vocabulary, the ability to understand that you build up through lots of reading and listening, working at LingQ, for example, the way I did, so that you arrive with a lot of vocabulary, that sets you up to really take advantage of your stay. Now, I should say a few words in Czech, and I will, but the problem is that since leaving Prague, which was kind of the high point of my Czech, I've had a week in Portugal, a phenomenal holiday where a group of former Canadian trade commissioners, once every 5 years, we gather in Europe and play golf. And Portugal is such a lovely country. People are so friendly. The food, the fish, everything was so wonderful. And I didn't speak as much Portuguese as I would like, because all of the people who deal with the tourist industry in Portugal are absolutely fluent in English. But nevertheless, I was exposed to Portuguese. And since that period, now I've been in Spain for 4 or 5 days. My wife and I were in Jerez de la Frontera. There, the English is not quite as strong, so I was able to use Spanish a lot. So just to say that my Czech is now 2 languages, in terms of immersion, 2 languages removed from when I was in Prague. Nicméně budu mluvit, nebo mluvím, teďka mluvím česky, Já si myslím, že ta zkušenost, to znamená prožít 5 dní v Praze nebo 4 dny a mluvit nejenom česky, nebo většinou česky. A to byl velmi úspěšný zkušenost. Já si myslím, že jsem mluvil okolo 6-7 hodin každý den a mám pocit, že nejenom můj schopnost mluvit česky zlepšila hodně, ale stejně schopnost rozumět zlepšilo hodně. No, to je, teďka musím hledat slovo, protože zdá se mi, že Češi udělat monolog než mluvit s lidmi, ale mám pocit, že rozumím česky. Já jsem koupil několik knížky v Praze, umím číst Milana Kunderu, nevím. A druhý knihy jsem koupil knihu týkající situace v meziválečné době v Československu a situace vztahy mezi německý mluvčí, znamená lidi, kteří mluvili němčinu, a česky a Čechy a Slováci. A to je velmi seriózní, to není lehké literatura a já jsem schopen rozumět. No, samozřejmě to je důsledku všechno ty úsilí, které jsem udělal během rok, ale jsou přesvědčen, že můj úroveň měli veliký pokrok během ty 5 dní, který byl jsem v Praze. So, that's just a brief little monologue, rambling on a bit in Czech. Yeah, I'm a little bit rusty now. I've been away from it for 15 days. However, I felt I was doing very well in my Czech. And so the goal that I set for myself a year ago, starting from scratch, that I would work very hard on my own, largely passive learning, using LingQ, reading, listening, building up my vocabulary, so that when I reached Prague, I would really be able to take advantage. Now I can speak, but more than that, I can also understand, I can read, with gaps. And so the big problem I now have is whether I should continue to work on Czech, which I find fascinating, or I had said to myself that I would at some point like to work on my Korean, which I've left in abeyance. I did some Korean about 6-7 years ago, worked at it for 6 months or so, and it is kind of low-hanging fruit to the extent that I speak Japanese and Chinese. So I may end up doing a bit of Czech and a bit of Korean, and yet I would like to work on improving my Spanish and Portuguese at the same time. So the more languages you learn, the dilemma always is, what are you going to spend your time on? Because you would like to, get deeper into some of these languages, and yet it's so much fun to gain that experience with a new language and culture. So we'll see what happens, but thank you for listening, and bye for now.